going to give it to you straight about Jason. His body was never recovered from the lake after he drowned. And if you listen to the old-timers in town, they'll tell you he's still out there. Some sort of demented creature.
What's up, everybody? It's Batjack JW, and Friday the 13th is here. Friday the 13th. So many memories for me, for sure. So, anyway, I wanted to give a shout-out to everybody here listening and tuning in. I really appreciate it. You keep the channel going, and it's going to be interesting. Let's see what happens here in the future with all the things that is being, tossed in and put on a lot of creators. So we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. So we'll keep trucking along here, and find out where it leads to. Where do we go from here, right? So anyway, I appreciate everybody once again tuning in. So be it tonight, Friday the 13th, or in the morning, Saturday the 14th. I remember seeing one time it was one of those parody type things, and it was it was like a little claymation thing, and it was Friday the 13th, Jason waking up, and it was like everything he was doing on Thursday the 12th and getting ready to do everything. It was all, I remember it was funny watching that. But growing up for me, I remember getting super excited one night because I was reading on the TV Guide channel, or TV Guide, back when people got TV Guides sent to their house, or I forget how we got them, but I remember I used to read those and see what's coming on, what's going to be on the cable, upcoming, and it was like Halloween, it was like some kind of thing going on, but I used to watch a lot of this thing that was on TNT called Monster Vision, and it was hosted by Joe Bob Briggs. And that was something, I always watch that. That's where I got to see a lot of cool movies that was, coming up there. I mean, I remember seeing for the first time, I remember watching The People Under the Stairs on that channel. That was really cool. A really neat Wes Craven movie that is definitely underrated, not really talked about, because you always hear about his infamous Nightmare on Elm Street, but he did do another really neat movie, and it was The People Under the Stairs. Without a doubt, it's a really cool movie. It's got Everett McGill in it. Everett McGill plays a really iconic character in it. More so iconic than, I think, his character in The Silver Bullet, the story by Stephen King. So, but I remember watching a lot of this stuff. But I remember one night I found out somehow that they were going to play like the whole Friday the 13th marathon or something like that. Yeah, at the time there was like only 8 of them out or something. Now there's like, I don't know. I actually lost count how many there are, because the ones that I remember is the first 8 of them. I can't believe there's that many, but there's more. But anyway, I remember gearing up for that. I was like, oh man, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait. I'm going to tape them. Now, that was the thing. I was going to pop my tape into the VCR and hit record on that channel and make sure I tape them so I can watch them for later. So I had my tapes all lined out. I remember I had taken my magic marker and wrote down Friday the 13th 1 and 2 and and I didn't, I was thinking, oh, okay, we're going to, and you know what? I don't remember what exactly happened, but I didn't get them on tape. I really didn't, because either they didn't play them, or I missed it, or something happened. I don't remember, but I didn't actually get those. But I remember going through the video store, the local video store, which is called Video Showplace. It was a really neat video store, and it was right below the drugstore, the Long's drugstore, which is pretty much similar to like a Walgreens out here. In my town, that was Long's Drugs was the Walgreens or CVS, whatever you want to call it. That's what that, and right below there in the next, a little, they called it the Copico Plaza. That was in the town. In there was Video Showplace. one of the coolest old rental stores you could probably come up with. And what was really neat about it, I always distinctively remember this growing up, the horror movies were in this cave. It was like this little cave you walked into. I guess it wasn't little if you could walk into it, but you could walk into this cave, and it was a black light in there, and all the flicks were in there. You could see them all, and everything was, that black light, and there was like scary masks and stuff up on the walls. It was really cool. And again, like I said, those covers, the VHS covers, and looking at them, it was like it intimidated me. It challenged me. It said, "Hey, Backtrack, you have not rented me, have you?" So, and I remember always seeing the Friday the 13th series. I always remember all the distinctive cover arts and all that. It was always really cool to see them, and different ones that I wanted to rent. And I eventually, throughout time and collecting them all over the place. I mean, going here, there. I remember the Kmart. You could actually go in there, and they had a huge videotape selection that you could purchase. The stuff wasn't cheap, if I remember right, too. But I remember finding a few Friday the 13th tapes in there, and I bought them. I remember that at Kmart, and I was just like so thrilled that I got them. And then of course I bought. I remember I bought like part 6 from the grocery store. This grocery store called KTA. I actually bought part 6 from them right off their rental shelf. That was one thing that was always weird for me growing up. That why in the world did grocery stores, and it was 2 different grocery stores that I remember now, they had a pretty crazy collection of horror tapes. It was like, what the heck? But the one mostly was the Sack and Save grocery store had like an abundance of these really bizarre horror tapes that were like, what, The Jar, Slug, just, Jack-O-Night or something. I don't know, strange stuff. But yeah, it was always interesting. But I remember that one had Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which is part 4, and the infamous cover with the hockey mask and the buck knife through the eyeball of it. It was just a knife laying there with a knife stuck through to the eye socket of the mask, and then there was like blood spilled all over the place. And you could tell that they just like went, "Oh, here's the mask, and let's stick this knife through it because we have it laying around on the desk," and somebody just throw some fake blood all over it. But it was really neat because it was like identified as the final chapter. I always thought, well, I wonder what the final chapter really means, because there's obviously part 5, 6, and 7. So anyway, but for the very first Friday 13th film I ever saw was part 7, and that was Jason was played by Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder is really cool. He's a horror icon. He's gotten so many credits to his name that he's done a lot of stunt work, and I bought his book and I read his book, and it's really touching. The guy has got an insane story, heartwarming, very gut-wrenching, and yet just unbelievable what he went through. Being severely burned and then not treated properly, and almost going through torture just to get cured. And because of the botched curing process and all that, the healing process that he was going through, because the doctors didn't know what they were doing, it left him scarred for life. But the cool thing is he grew up very near my hometown, my island, the Hawaiian Islands. The guy grew up on so that's really kind of hits home for me, because the guy's got that connection. Really cool stuff. But I remember reading the book and just absolutely being floored by it. Kane Hodder, really amazing guy. One of the nicest people that they say you can meet, and that's usually the case too. It's very interesting in the horror genre. And that's why I like that. That's the one thing that I've noticed, and in within myself personally, meeting the director of Phantasm, Don Coscarelli. I have noticed that the people that are involved in these kind of some people say that they're savagery films or whatever, but they're the nicest people on earth. They really are. They really care about fans and people, and Kane Hodder is the kind of guy that would give his seat up, anytime for anybody and let them sit down. And, that's just the kind of person you get from him, including all this stuff that I've seen. And like my experience meeting Don Coscarelli, here's a guy, a big-time director, directed one of my favorite movies growing up, Phantasm. And here he is, literally, like when I met him, after he signed my poster and the book, pulling me towards him, like, here, let's take a picture, actually, like, wanting to take a picture with me. And I'm thinking, shouldn't this be the other way around? Like, I should be wanting to take a picture with you, like, and asking you, and, but no, he was really cool. And I did get the picture, yes, and it's awesome. He was just the nicest guy, really surprises me, really nice guy, so that's really cool. So anyway, Kane Hodder played Jason in part 7, and then went on in part 8, and I think a couple other ones after that too. Part 9 and part 10, and yes, I remember. Actually, I think I did see part 10. I went to see that in the theater. Just because I couldn't believe the action. But one of the things that they did later, when they actually finally did the Freddy versus Jason movie, they really botched that up, because whoever made the decision, and I believe it was the director, and if it was indeed the director, I'm going to take this moment and slam him. He should be thrown out of the movie business and never allowed to direct another horror movie ever. Because whoever made the decision to not put Kane Hodder in there, that movie should never have even been made without Kane Hodder. Because by the time that movie was coming around to be made, Kane Hodder is Jason. It's just... that's just my, the way I felt. It's a sore subject to this day for Kane Hodder. Yeah, so that, they should never have gone through with that. But anyway, moving on, right? So, just kind of hanging out here. It's Friday the 13th. Kind of just sneaks up on me. I kind of forget, like, a lot of times, like, oh yeah, it's Friday the 13th. Have a nice little drink here. And, you know what, actually, I just watched The Highwaymen with Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson. Just finally saw it. I've been wanting to see it because I really am a big fan of both those actors and the Bonnie and Clyde story. But I've been wanting to see it, and it was a Netflix release, and I don't have Netflix. So when I found it was on Amazon Prime, I jumped up immediately and was like, wow, it's, look, there it is, so I rented it. It was like $3, so I rented it and watched it on Amazon Prime. It's a live stream, so Bat Jack is getting a little hip with the times, even though I still buy videotapes and watch them on VCR. But the streaming thing is definitely interesting. It's so much different for me, definitely. So, but anyway, I watched it. It was a very interesting movie. What I thought was really, what I liked about it was it showed the other side. It didn't really, if you're going to, heads up, if you're going to watch this movie expecting to see a movie about Bonnie and Clyde, you're wrong. It is about them, but it isn't like forget the Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway. Forget that movie. That movie is not anything like this movie. This movie is about the perspective of law enforcement, and the challenge that these Texas Rangers that faced, what they had to face and what they had to go up against, and tracking them down. A lot of mileage on vehicles, going place to place, sleeping in the car, and encountering danger and not flinching at it. And what I really liked about it was it held no punches. Without a doubt, it showed the truth. Bonnie and Clyde were criminals. They killed people. That's it. Granted that during the time, they were robbing banks, and people weren't too happy with banks because they were taking houses and whatnot from people. But let's not forget the fact that they killed people. They shot law enforcement officers. They killed innocent people without any hesitation whatsoever. So that was a really interesting movie. I really liked it. Of course, my favorite scene. I don't really want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, because I wouldn't. I don't want that to happen to me. I avoid all conversation when it talks about before I saw it. But my favorite scene, without a doubt, is when Kevin Costner, playing Frank Hamer, walks into the gun shop and just literally walks in and just starts going the list. It's like, let me see that Thompson submachine gun, Colt pistol, Smith & Wesson 1917, Colt monitor, give me that BAR. And I mean, I'm just going, wow, I wish I could buy all that stuff. I mean, give me a Thompson and give me a Colt 1911 commercial. It's all this great stuff, just sitting right there. I'll take that Smith & Wesson 1917. It's really cool. Yeah, and he's like, then he rounds it up. He's like, give me a half a dozen moon clips for the 1917 and how many rounds to the stick mag for the Thompson. That guy's like, oh, it takes 20 rounds. He goes, give me a dozen of those and 2 drums. Just really a great deal of fun. So anyway, a little bit on news for those of you that actually made it this far in the chat here. A little bit of update on what I'm going to be doing this weekend. Yeah, this weekend's actually really. I'm going back out to the gun show, and with a purpose. Well, actually, I'm really going there to help out a friend. And I've done this a few times now, a couple of times at least, and it's been a lot of fun. It really has. I really enjoy it. Helping him out has been a lot of fun. I've never had more fun at a gun show than actually being behind the table selling stuff at a gun show. So there's a lot of benefits for it for me. One, I get to hang out there all day and just be behind a table and, kind of hang loose and hang cool. And then when time allows, go out there and wander around. And it's a free ticket in. I don't have to pay anything. And it's really close to home here. It's just right down the road. I'm just going to go there, check it out, and head on back. Like I said, hang out with him and, help him sell, and then just come back on home. So that's what's going to be cool about it. I think it's going to be really fun. But I'm actually going there also I'm looking for something. Yes, I'm looking for something. As you guys, hopefully you saw my last or listened to my last chat called Stop, Listen, Hackathorn. Ken Hackathorn is, to me, a really cool dude, because he's been there, he's done that kind of a thing, and he loves 1911 pistols. Absolutely. Same with me. I love the 1911. So he was talking about the new Colt Classic, they call it, the new Colt 1911 Classic. It's out. It's got some beautiful roll marks on that slide and everything. And at first, which is kind of for me, it was kind of like a duh moment, because I thought wow, I should have actually known that, but it was actually Hackathorn that put it in my head. But anyway, the fact that Hackathorn praised it and said it was probably one of the better Colts that they've come up with in recent time, pertaining to, I guess you would say, the more of the old school GI configuration, which is what I like in a 1911. I don't really go for all the up bells and whistles, the high ride, retail, and all that. What gets my attention is that old school GI style looking government model style. And one of the things, Hackathorn was not a fan of the recent ones that they made, like, for instance, the Series 70, that he kind of, really kind of put some strict and no-holds-barred judgment on that one. And then, really didn't, he's, when he went to the, the other ones, he kind of just brushed them off. But this one, he actually gave his approval. He really did. He gave his stamp of approval. And that's kind of neat, coming from a guy that, he's Mr. 1911. Mind you, his buddy, who is his buddy? Bill Wilson. Bill Wilson's his good buddy. So, he's got the best of the best out there, but when he's talking Colt, and I think for a lot of us people that are into the old school stuff, there's something about that name, that logo that is synonymous with just the old school cool factor, Colt. Something about it, right? So this one that is out is definitely caught my attention, and one of the things, like I said, I had a duh moment, was Hackathorn put old school style reproduction plastic brown looking grips with the insignia on it that would have been seen back in I guess he would say like the 50s, the 60s, that he would have seen. They were just once Colt was like running out of some of the grips from World War II and whatnot. These were kind of ones that were like World War II grips, but they had a little bit of that brown, orange kind of swirling going on through it, and it had the insignia on it. So with all that, he put one of those on it. He actually said where to get the grips, their reproduction ones, by I believe it's Triple K. Also, if you just Google search vintagegrips.com, you can find them. So he mentioned that. He also mentioned that you can buy the arched mainspring housing, that you can purchase those pretty much anywhere. So of course, yes, I'm a fan of the arched mainspring housing. I think it's for me, it fits my hand better. So I looked through, and I actually went through, and I've seen one of these pistols last gun show. I did see them, and they're available. They're not something that's not available, so I can go to a shop and have them order it if I need to. But I think I'll be able to find one at this show, if not something cooler, maybe. But in hindsight, I went ahead, checked out those grips, and I ordered a set. Yes, I ordered a set, and they're made to order. They're not the cheapest grips, and I'll do a whole video on that when they get in, and I'll tell you what I think and if the price point was right. And we'll see. I'm actually excited to see what it really is going to look like. That's going to be interesting to see. So stay tuned for that when I get those grips, and I'll be showing them on the channel here, and we'll see. We'll see what it's like. So anyway, that's on its way. I wound up also ordering from Numrich a arched mainspring housing that's checkered. I thought that was cool. Looks old school, checkered. It's different. And whenever I get something, I don't mind owning something that's run of the mill that everybody can get. But I like to make it my own. I like to always put something on it that says Batjack JW. Me. That's right. I always try to do something different with it. Like I got that ATI 1911, that Commander model. Love it. But what did I want to do to it? I said, I got to do something to it that makes it mine. I put the aged yellow ivory stocks on it. That's what I did. I took those stocks that are synthetic ivory and made my own. So anyway, I'm Batjack JW. Thanks for tuning in here. It's Friday the 13th. And I'll catch you on this weekend, and we'll see what happens. So hope you'll tune in, and I'm gonna be making a video. I should have some good news for you Saturday night. So stay tuned.